Midjourney Promptcraft Live. It is February 5th, 2026, and today is going to be a review of some really relevant research, and then we'll break for discussion and Q&A, demonstrations, and so forth. If you are joining us for the first time, we are on the Midjourney official Discord server. And we are also on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. If you are watching this event as a recording later on, please feel free to interact with us in the comments, because we'll see it eventually anyway. Other than that, if you're here live, we'll see your comments in real time. You are noticing my dog perhaps sleeping behind me on this bed. That is Jenny, and I will give her a biscuit from all of you, which she is very alert about. She heard that biscuit thing open, and here we go.
Just in case there was another one coming.
Just in case.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I'm only getting one just now. I'm down.
The better to stretch it over time, Jenny. Stretch it over time. All right, so let me unmute some of our usual suspects here. Collect, Johnny, Loki. I don't know whether you might use your microphone, but just in case. Gifted Stars, welcome to Promptcraft Live. Joseph, good to see you. Jenny is an absolutely standard poodle.
Is brown the technical? Is it standard brown, or is it?
No, she's not brown. She's gold.
Okay, standard gold.
I thought border collies were. She's crazy smart, though. We have to be very careful. Oh, thanks, Joseph. They're highly trainable, but not necessarily smart. Yeah, poodles are not highly trainable. They're very, very, very independent. They are people. They are persons. They might not be human, but they are fully persons. She understands far more than she delivers. She's remarkable. She blows our mind all the time. That says more about us, though, that we're just like, dogs are dumb, and then she blows our mind. And that's really a commentary on how we're willing to believe that. Right, exactly. It's a commentary on we're willing to believe that dogs don't understand, you know. And then we met Jenny, and then we're like, oh, we need to this is like, and totally revise our worldview from the ground up on animal intelligence in general. She has never been destructive. Not at all. She will she does use she is a tool using animal, though. So if she needs to say something, she will like bring you things or throw things at you, or drop things on you, you know, give you context clues patiently until you figure it out, you know. So, and that could I guess it could look destructive, you know, if you don't know what she's saying. I am speaking. Yes. Yeah. I'm just making sure that I'm going out over the over YouTube. I am. And you should have subtitles right here. Right? You
Yeah,
guys can see that,
noticed that.
right? Okay.
Very cool, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will give you the link properly in just a moment. 3F. Okay. I don't know why it would do that. But yeah, so let's get started. In theory, I've pasted the paper and the presentation into your local chat. There's no need to bring that up unless it interests you. Oh, thanks, Collect. Yeah, this is the subtitles built into Microsoft PowerPoint. It is possible that one or both of those links don't work. And if that is true, just let me know and I will go and fetch the links again from Adobe in just a bit. I suppose if the dog is getting up, I will turn off her camera because she's just hovering right in front of her camera here. She's giving you a view of her eye.
Mm.
What are you doing? Go lie down. Thank you. Just do that. Okay, great. Okay. So what I wanted to do for our first little bit of time here is talk about this cool paper that I found. And then I'll open it up for questions, discussion, and change of topic and so on. But why are we talking about this paper with the incredibly long title? The title is Multi-Agent Framework for Controllable and Protected Generative Content Creation, Addressing Copyright and Provenance in AI-Generated Media. We are talking about this paper because if you're following the news media at all, people are just running around flapping their hands trying to figure out copyright and copy protection and authorship when AI is involved. And this paper is one of many proposals in the works out there. That there is easy to pick off as apples off a tree right now. You can find many credible paths, but this one I thought was interesting because Midjourney is already just a sneeze away from this particular credible path to recognizing human authorship without denying how generative systems actually work. And what these guys propose in this paper is shifting the focus from who made the pixels to who controlled the process that produced them, which should sound familiar to all of you guys because as advanced users of Midjourney, by the way, Promptcraft Live is our advanced users group, which is why this might be of interest to all of us. As advanced users of Midjourney, we are quite familiar with the fact that there is a process, sometimes a very involved process, to create an image that we have in mind when we use Midjourney. And so these guys sort of formalize that a little bit, which I thought it's very easy to understand, but has some really great implications, I think. So everything you see, all the graphics, and including all the messes up in the graphics, all the mistakes are from ChatGPT 5.2 Thinking, who collaborated with me. No, that's not true. ChatGPT basically did this on its own. I walked through the paper. I created. I used ChatGPT to help me create the the plan for the graphic, and then I had GPT make the graphic. What GPT did not do, and this is of interest to us because of the topic, what GPT did not do is decide that there should be a picture and when, and at what level of detail, and so on. Those are things that I brought, that I caused to happen through iteration with ChatGPT. So now we can ask ourselves, are these, did I author these, or did ChatGPT author those, or is the answer more complicated than that? So the first question I always have when confronting this issue of authorship, like, did Collect make that picture or did Midjourney make that picture, right? I'm like, why the freak out now? Why are AI tools getting scrutinized when stuff like Photoshop never did? Like, no one, and not only for authorship, but also for responsibility. No one went to Microsoft and said, you need to disallow people from creating racist content using Microsoft PowerPoint. Adobe, you need to stop people from creating pornography using Adobe Photoshop. No one ever went to those people and charged them with taking responsibility for the content those tools made. And the more I examine that problem, the more it seems to be a dotted line to how those tools evolved, as opposed to what people really believe one way or the other. Because people are not reacting to the presence of machine assistance itself in these conversations. We've already accepted machine assistance in many creative tools over the decades. I don't know what you're wearing right now, but I bet you it's all produced by a machine. But nevertheless, it still says Calvin Klein on it, right? So there's a brand that it has taken ownership of the shirt, even though it is possible that that shirt has never been, was never crafted by a person, and so on. So since the Industrial Revolution, right, exactly, Himbo. Since the Industrial Revolution, the lines have been blurred. So what's causing concern now isn't that the lines are blurred. That's a given. What's causing concern now is that generative AI makes the machine's role explicit and visible and sudden. In other words, it has implications to the way people make money, where it wasn't so immediately and at scale. And so people are invested in clearing it up. And it's really this idea of velocity and scale that seems to make it an interesting question when it comes to AI, and not to the very comparatively slow adoption of Photoshop and so on. Instead of assistance being embedded quietly inside, various actions that are arcane and not well known to a whole lot of people, our AI systems can produce outputs in a way that sort of foregrounds its contribution. I'm trying to tell you, it's psychological. It's psychological, and it's capitalist. That's why the questions are being asked about AI and not about every darn thing, Grammarly and Writable and Photoshop and PowerPoint and all the other ways that we use systems, because it's the visibility and the scale and the velocity that's forcing people to confront questions about authorship and control that were previously easy to ignore. Now, my script says easy to ignore. My cynicism says that was previously easy to ignore in terms of, who's going to be in the red and who's going to be in the black and who's going to benefit and who's going to profit. Now, you'll have to excuse me for having, and many of you might be sitting there thinking, not everything is about money, Clarinet. Or some of you might be thinking, yes, Clarinet, everything is about money. You can let me know in chat whether you, what side of that fence you fall on. Yes, Himo, I'm going to say authorship is to do with it's a term that I'm finding in the law documents, and it's a term I'm finding in ethics documents. Okay, Sinida's with me on the everything is about money. I just think that the reason why people are freaking out now is that there's money on the line that was at a scale at which people are sitting up and paying attention. When Photoshop came along, it was essentially too slow and obscure for people to sweat it. So the anxiety people are experiencing comes from that velocity and scale. It's not that people are like shocked that tool assistance exists. Because I keep thinking that. I keep thinking, what's going on? This has been an extant problem forever. Why are we suddenly freaking out? Well, the answer is probably capitalism. Of course, collect. The what comes of this paper is what I have to say about it, and what I hope you guys will take from it, not necessarily what the researchers have done. The researchers have basically done a corporate workshop about stuff that you and I sitting here today will go like, oh, no kidding, Sherlock. Like you had to do a whole workshop on that, because our lived experience has long since taught us what these researchers had to figure out. And that's always the disconnect in sciences like these, where there are experts being the people who have lived experience like us, and then there are the scholars, and they don't always talk to each other. So we'll be some of us will be like eye-rollingly bored at the obviousness of this, and yet very cool. Sunita, would you like to stop and discuss what you've pasted here? I've unmuted you if you'd like to introduce the paper. Or do you want to circle back to it at the end, or how would you like to? Oh, it just, I see. So here's a written paper that resonates with some of what I'm saying right now. Okay. So if this framework that these guys in this workshop proposed, if this framework wins, what changes for you? The collect was saying that this is a bunch of nothing, but what would change for us as just ordinary users of something like Midjourney if the proposal in this paper came true? If it became widely accepted, I think we could draw a couple of conclusions that are, not law school seminar stuff, but pretty practical. The first is that your creative labor would stop being invisible. How many of you have felt a little bit let down, show of hands, that you you've slaved away at Midjourney, you post it to social media, or you show it to your dad, or whatever it is you do with your thing, and somebody's like, oh, it's AI. Oh, whatever. You just typed cat, right? I'm constantly, right, Sinaida? I'm always like, no, you guys don't understand how much I had to learn and apply. And this paper is basically arguing that authorship shouldn't hinge on, what generated the pixels or who made the pixels, but on who controlled the generation process. There's already so much abstraction. When a pixel is placed, because I moved my mouse, the layers of abstraction between the movement of my wrist and translated to the mouse, translated to the software, translated to the operating system, translated to Photoshop, translated to that is already so abstracted that you can easily, without even breaking a sweat, have a conversation about who made the pixels. So what they're looking at instead is they're basically saying, okay, that's not the interesting part of this. It's who caused the pixels that is interesting. Was there iterative prompting? Was there refinement? Were there constraints introduced? Were there selection among outputs? Was there stopping criteria? Was there intentional convergence? These aren't fluff. This is evidence of human authorship with not just Midjourney, but all tools of this kind. So if that view takes hold, a Midjourney user who iterates deliberately, who is, in other words, has something in mind and pursuing it, isn't just clicking generate. They're directing a system. And the direction of the system is, under this proposal, a valid, creates valid authorship. The system's output is a record of the direction. And that's a big shift from today's shrug emoji posture, right? Right now, people are like, but these guys come down and say, no, it's and it's not just true of AI. It's actually what's elegant about this is that it goes ahead and accepts that all of our technology augmented activities are alike in this way. And it's nice to see some scholars actually putting that forward instead of all of us every week muttering it to each other. Right. So the first conclusion is you're directing a system, and then that process becomes the proof, the provenance. So right now, nobody asks you, like, how many rerolls did it take? And why did you stop on image 47 instead of number 3? And why did you take it to the editor for that? And why did you take it outside of Midjourney and then bring it back in? And why did you, and what? Nobody cares. Under this framework, though, that process trail becomes the thing that matters. It's not going to just be your prompt, although it's also your prompt. It's not the final image alone, although it's also the final image, but it's the actual trajectory. So as ordinary users, we could say, look, if I can show that I guided the system toward a specific expressive goal, that guidance is my authorship. And that's always been true. But now we've got some people who are willing to sign that clipboard and attach, as Himbo says, attach some regulation, governance, and dollars to it. And no, this doesn't mean we all have to. Not more important is added to. It's additive. Right now, people are just look at the output of an essay, like you're looking at this graphic. If this framework wins, what changes for you? You're looking at this graphic. I've told you it's made by ChatGPT. Right now, you've said, so it must have taken you 5 minutes. I don't know. What did you just, But if I can show you the 2 hours it took to arrive at this graphic, and the 2 hours more work I could have done to make it even better if I had wanted to. In other words, it starts. What I keep saying, if you listen to me from week to week, you hear me say, it's something to do with. Now I've just blanked. Sorry, you guys. You pay for my time, sort of. The authorship, I'm going to have to skip. Oh, literacy. That's what it was. Somehow Collecti reminded me of what I wanted to say, that it's AI literacy in the same way, or AI art appreciation, AI art literacy, AI literacy, that once you're literate about how a graphic like this comes to be, you might feel more generous about the authorship, skewing toward the human. if you know what it takes to produce this sort of graphic. You might. I'm not saying you will, but it's possible, because the more you know, the more capable you are of evaluating based on whatever your preferences are. Collect, I do not think that it is the issue, but it's not that's several questions packed into one thing. Collect. The one of the issues is a subjective issue where I say it's sort of like I feel this sense of injustice. It's not fair that Collect got paid for that when all he had to do was type in cat and hit return, and suddenly somebody's giving him $20. That's not fair. Oh my God, Collect didn't even make that picture. Like, there's that sort of almost a sort of an immature emotional reaction that we could talk about. But the easy part is actually a capitalist notion, which is to do with the velocity and scale. So when something is, because supply and demand, right? If my supply goes way, way up because it's quote easy, then it should be cheap. Right, exactly, Collect. It's not worth addressing the one where I, did the immature one, like, oh, it's not fair that you're being paid for that. Like, well, no, that it's the word solipsistic. I can never say that word to save my life. Sophistry to have that conversation, I think. I don't think it's as relevant as the capitalist discussion, which is the one where thank you, Collect. The where scale and velocity means should have economic influence. We're used to it having economic influence. So that's what everyone's in a big hurry to figure out, the economic influence of the scale and velocity of AI tool. So if you can show that you guided the system toward a specific expressive goal, perhaps that guidance can be your authorship, or establish your authorship, says this paper. That doesn't mean you have to keep a diary. It means the law would finally recognize that shaping the creative space, and then searching it, messing about in creative space is creative act. Pulling something from creative space is a creative act. And the lastly, what this would do if this framework wins, or is widely adopted, I should say, is the tool stops being so suspect. The paper's whole point is that generative systems shouldn't be treated as like somehow rogue collaborators. They are instrumented environments. Right? It's Photoshop plus math plus chaos, right? So the model generating pixels doesn't disqualify authorship, because we have to accept that without a slippery slope, we still have to accept that the generation of pixels is always abstract, one way or the other. So it's more honest to accept that there's still a dotted line back to us. And what matters is, is who constrained or evaluated or fixed the outcome. And even then you have to be smart about that, because I corrected this graphic that you're looking at by directing ChatGPT to make corrections. Right? So, I mean, that's a very interesting proposal. I mean, is it turtles all the way down? I don't know. You'd have to think about it. The AI made it argument gets weaker when human control is demonstrable. And that's what this paper is suggesting. Let's figure out a way to attach a measure of human control, a measurement that reflects human control. Let's attach it to the file. And this, the reason why I thought this was interesting is that it aligns so much more closely to how we already experience this work. So authorship then becomes a gradient. It's not binary. This is the part that the lawyers hate. And artists tend to immediately understand, right? Under this proposal, not all Midjourney outputs are equal. You can't just say, it was made with Midjourney, therefore it belongs to Himbo if Himbo's prompted it. A one-shot generation would be a weaker claim. If Himbo typed cat and hit return, it would be a weaker claim of authorship than if he shows a file with a big fat receipt log that shows that he did all kinds of things to get a particular cat. Even if it is almost pixel per pixel the same as having typed the word cat and hit return, if he actually did a ton of work, to get there, that's fine. It's just like you see a photorealistic oil painter, is copying a photograph. He didn't take the photograph. He's copying the photograph, but he spent, 18 weeks making an oil painting that looks precisely like that photograph. So his claim of authorship is high. Heavy iteration, intentional convergence on an image, that's a stronger claim. Iteration plus compositing or editing or, reuse, stronger still. So that's what they're proposing. They're saying my authorship strength depends on how much I steer, not whether or not a model was involved at all. That's two different types of measuring, Collect. It's not measuring the worth of the thing. It's measuring the authorship of the thing. Something that I did not author at all and cannot make a claim to authoring might be incredibly valuable, or something I slaved over for weeks might be incredibly unvaluable. That is not the sense of the word authorship as I mean it here. It is true. I think you're right that you can decide that you can kind of smear authorship into value, but for the sake of this paper and proposal, they only mean authorship in as objective a sense as you can allow for, because they're trying to say this is a way to build law. So they have to put a stake in the ground, and this is just one way to do that. To treat Midjourney like a studio, not a slot machine. So if this framework wins, casual users don't lose anything. But serious users gain legitimacy, right? Because the advice implied by the paper is basically be intentional, be selective, know when you're done, understand why this image is the one, and the law starts seeing what you already natively know in your lived experience. You didn't just get lucky. You arrived somewhere by the law, right? So the takeaway for us is not now you own everything. It's your authorship exists to the degree that your judgment shaped the outcome, which matches our lived experience. And what they're proposing in this is that you basically create a big basket of receipts that lives as part of the file, and that becomes measurable. Now, is it possible then that you could sit there and just hit churn, just churn buttons forever to generate receipts, and it's not really doing anything, and now you can say, yeah, I made this, even though the receipts were falsified, or the receipts were generated by another program that you made, or the receipts. It's easy to lob big wrenches into this work. I spent a lot of my time looking at this saying, is it even worth showing people when it's so easy? It's so, first of all, so obvious, and second, so sort of easy to sort of well, you could cheat, But what I liked about it is that it matches our lived experience. But your skepticism is welcome, and I share your skepticism. But that's what it's doing, is saying this is like how creative work has sort of tried to function. I mean, it's annoying and nuanced and also correct. It's incredibly flawed. It is, but still interesting to think about. So just to dive into it for just a second, I won't spend too long on this. But if you start here, what this system proposes is that that each of these agents, a director agent, a judge agent, a package agent, and so on. I'll go through each of them. All these agents work together to produce evidence of human involvement in the process. So the director stage, it's basically you acting like a producer, right? So if you just say cat, Midjourney has 1,000 valid interpretations, and most of them will like annoy us, right? So instead of a vague wish, it suggests make evidence of a shoot plan, right? Make evidence of the whiteboard, make evidence of this. And it's not saying you must generate the evidence. It's saying AI systems should be designed such that they keep this evidence for us. Is it just the prompt? It's more than just the prompt. I mean, it is the prompt. It's also the controls, the parameters. They're all steering wheels. They're all steering wheels. So take note of the steering wheels, this says. The output of the director stage is, something like a prompt card and a plan card. You absolutely could you could arrange to cheat this entire system. That's why I wanted to acknowledge that early. You could arrange to cheat this entire system. The plan and prompt is what separates, I typed cat once from, I art directed a result. So then we hand this plan to the generator. Once the plan exists, the next job is to produce a volume of outputs, right? So the goal with the generator is to, have drafts and variations. Now we already get a batch. We would call this the batch of 4. And this proposal seems to suggest that the larger the batch, or the more batches we review, the more receipts there are, the stronger our claim of authorship is. No, I think that we just have to figure out penalization for cheating. In the same way that we penalize plagiarism and other ways of cheating copyright, authorship, and IP, we would make it painful to cheat this too if you were found out. And so it would encourage people not to cheat, or not to cheat when it's serious. I think that would be handled in the law. Punishment, essentially. Incentives and penalties. So the generator stage. Midjourney making drafts. So notice what I'm calling them. I'm calling them drafts or thumbnails or something. This is not the final art. You want them to be cheap. You want a wall of options. You want to pick a good direction. I think that's outside of the scope of this conversation, Sinaida, but it's a good line of inquiry in general. So this corkboard here, this is the batch, right? So that's normal. Some are going to be wrong in obvious ways, like the cat has 7 legs. Some are going to be wrong because they don't match what we're after. A few will have something worth stealing, maybe the pose, maybe the lighting, but you don't want the whole thing, right? So some of them become references for further. You guys have done this before. You're advanced users of Midjourney. You've used outputs as inputs for further work inside of Midjourney. And there's these lanes at the bottom. There's an ideation mode. quick variations, quality mode, right? We do this. We have draft mode and we have quality mode. So you can choose based on what you're doing. The implication of this is that something like ideation and then collapse to a more singular idea is helpful to establish receipts, but it's not required. It's just easy to talk about in this example. So that's what I'm talking about. But the important part is that you do not ask a system to pick the best thing from the batch, because that would reduce your authorship. So when David talks about increasing batch size, he's not just saying we have some extra cycles. Maybe we'll just throw, some extra cycles at you. Enjoy. We'll, philosophically, increasing the batch size does a lot. And sometimes, I mean, we experimented with batches of 8. You guys saw sometimes when guides and mods would run Midjourney and share a screen, you could see we were seeing batches of 8, not 4. Well, collect, it says it wouldn't really reduce your authorship. The size of the batch doesn't reduce your authorship. Right. What it would increase or decrease is the stack of receipts, the volume of receipts, depending on how you decided to count them. I mean, if examine batch is 1 receipt, then it doesn't matter what the number of batches, what number of images in the batch is, because batch becomes 1 object and that's 1 receipt. But if each image in the batch generates a receipt, then you get 16 receipts instead of 4, and the volume of receipts has some correlation to a sense of authorship in this legal sense, then that matters. Doesn't necessarily take more effort, Westendorf. You could throw a dart at it. You could take 0 effort. You could throw a dart at 4. You could throw a dart at 16. No effort, no change in effort, right? So that's part of what Collect is saying, is that there's an illusion. These receipts create an illusion of ownership or authorship. That and furthermore, as we spoke of, we could cheat it, we could fake it, we could this, we could that. But it's an interesting stake in the ground. If you decide that all things being equal, this is a mechanism to use, and and it would never be applicable except in a court of law where this stuff was being argued, and then you'd have to pull the logs and show your receipts, and then somebody could say, actually, this went through weeks and weeks of non-trivial transformations. So I think Westendorf is the author, says the court of law. Now, what does that say philosophically, ethically? It's not even related. I'm not willing to turn this conversation into that conversation. But these guys are proposing Collect. Did I unmute you? Can you sort me out since I've misunderstood you?
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
So, I agree we don't have to argue about the ethics or philosophy, but there's a to me immediate problem with this, that we are in a court of law, we are basing the claim of did the author do the image or not on the number of receipts, or if there are any receipts, and we are treating one-shot images somehow inferiorly to the ones you iterate on, because you could easily put the iteration process outside of this cycle.
Right. Yeah, you sure could.
And
you'd have to find some other way to show those receipts. If I iterate
by doing multiple prompts for the same concept, then each of that prompt would be some kind of, the first step in this system. So you would need an even larger, one more layer system around this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the same problem comes up again. What if I am iterating outside of this new meta system? you would need another layer.
You
That's
need
the
another
problem
and
with
another
this.
and another.
Yeah, and
That's
it goes on forever, and it's not a solvable way. Like, this is a very bad way to define authorship. That's even in the very strict sense of we need something for the lawyers to argue about.
right.
There-
I saw this too. But what I appreciated about it is that it starts you somewhere, right? Like you'd
Does it really?
I think it does. Well, let me put it this way, Collect. After having read dozens of these types of things, like where people are arguing about this, I have so many articles, the Virginia Law Journal, and all these places where people are trying to put stakes in the ground. This was one of the, and this is probably going to make you very sad, but this was one of the only ones that had any relationship to our lived experience as Midjourney artists. Like this was the one where I thought, okay, this is incredibly problematic,
Well,
but
sure, but
at least
like
it has a dotted
best
line to
option,
what we do.
but it's still an incredibly bad way to think about this.
Okay,
It's like,
see
even
if
if
you
it's the
can, see if
best
you can.
option, it's still an incredibly flawed option. Like, you should. This is a horrible way to establish authorship. It's so flawed. Like, they gotta go back, start over,
How would you start it?
rethink this.
Do you
I
have
haven't
something in
thought
mind?
about it.
Okay.
No, I haven't thought
Well,
about
that's your
this
homework for
question.
next week. Collect's like, no, fuck you.
Oh.
Solve the whole problem yourself, Collect. For God's sake, get on it. Head in the game. Head in the game.
No,
Okay.
I'm not really good at coming up with ideas. I'm really
Just
good at shooting down
criticizing other
people's.
people's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. High five. Okay, so
How do you prove authorship of a digital photo?
right now,
Yeah.
you just make the claim. That's why
Okay.
that's why the very first slide was like, why are people freaking out about this? Like let's say I took a picture of Collect and I used a composite to add a picture of my grandma next to him, and I removed the trash can behind, and I did all these things, and I don't have to show any receipts for that. I can just slap that up on a gallery and sell it for $10,000, and no one has been able to, no bank has been made on that question because of the scale and velocity. So
yeah,
just
maybe that is the solution. We just don't care.
We just don't
like
or
if a person
stuff
says
looks.
this is my stuff, then we just accept that
Nobody
stuff.
can tell. Nobody can tell.
Why do we need to create some intricate systems that don't work?
Then we'd have to rewrite the law, because the law starts with the premise that it is establishable, and it ought to be establishable.
But you just said, how do you establish it with like let's say a traditional digital photo collage? You can't establish that either. But we live in a world where this happens, and
we live in a world in which it happens. Yeah.
So why are we trying to solve this for
because
just AI?
There's money on the line, whereas before the number of people either pass. Seriously, I can't believe that that's the answer, but the answer is there's so much money on the line that people suddenly are interested in this. There's so much money on the line.
I have my solution then for you.
Kill capitalism.
Just a bunch of money.
I know. I mean, I'm not. This whole thing it's an economic incentive to start caring about this. That's how the copyright and intellectual property law came about in the first place.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, copyright laws are bullshit and should not exist at all in any form, in anywhere.
Right. Preach. So let me see, like, there's a couple more slides here, and then we can the next slide will produce just as much conversation, so let's do it. So remember, each of these things that I've talked about, the planner, the drafter, the reviewer, and so on, these are agents. So as I understood it, these are actual components in the system that are busily being I'm wanting to use this huge word that I can never say. Anumensis, an assistant who's taking notes on what you're doing. So here's another stage and another agent. The reviewer stage is you, and the system is watching what you do. Midjourney generates, you evaluate, and the evaluation isn't like just do I like it. It's prompt adherence, among other things. Does it match what we asked for? Does it work as an image? Matches intent, matches style, composition, any deal breakers. So, you keep, you fix, or you reject, and that discipline of keep, close, or nope is information, and the information of those decisions become, again, receipts. Keep goes forward, fix goes to the next agent. Reroll might go back to the generator. So this is another part of your authorship, and it's another part of the system that's kind of watching what the human does, turning its eyeball to us. Right now, it's all lost. All of this information, we do it. Our lived experience means we know we do this all day long, but the system doesn't record any of it. Integration. So this is their fancy word, I suppose, for refine. So this is when you start getting kind of involved. You might load it in the editor, or you might do a remix, or you might bring it out of Midjourney and take it somewhere else and do something and bring it back in, or you add image references or whatever. You pan, you zoom, you vary region, you erase. I don't know. It's definitely the place that is most Photoshop-like, right? Where we directly interact with the file with intention. It's obviously not lucky accident sort of thing. And then protection. This is the most novel part of this whole system. The part that you and I will go like, oh, this totally doesn't exist. The goal is to explain the receipts and its commercial defensibility. Commercial defensibility. It's not feel good defensibility. It's not about values. Right. So if it's client work or academic work or anything where attribution matters, then this is where we're glad the system is in place, because you want the receipts. Maybe it's the final image, the prompt, the parameters, the references, the key screenshots, the job IDs, the timestamps, the number of times you did this, the number of times you did that, your plan in the first place, your rubric for evaluating from the batch, right? These are things that we don't even think about right now. And so the system is a little bit nightmarish, but the system is suggesting, well, maybe we should. Maybe if people are going to be so persnickety about AI and its partnership with us when we create a thing, we need to do all of this trail of evidence that it was us. I love the idea, by the way, that that maybe the whole thing should be reconsidered. And I think it might be true, Collect, that nobody cares until Disney gets involved, right? And then all of a sudden Disney is going to care about your receipts, because and because this is all about commercial viability, and that's why I keep saying it's legal. It's not about value. So you create this agent pipeline that creates this loop for the purposes of a court of law, right? This graphic's terrible. I ran out of time.
Does what I said make sense about, like, say for instance, my
Previous
restaurant
work?
pictures
Yeah.
look
Like
similar to what I've been making?
Yes. Yeah, that with this system, the idea is shows receipts, show evidence, if your AI systems should keep track of this for us in case you're ever you know, put your
Gotcha.
like the same thing that Apple has to give up logs of our phone calls or something.
Mhm.
If we're dragged to a court of law, did criminal behavior, right? So that's when this would become relevant, I suppose. It is impossible to determine if you take a humanistic view, but the law makes those arbitrary determinations all the time.
And if it winds up in front of a jury, they have to go on something.
So it's impossible to determine from one perspective and will be determined from another. Just will. It just will. They just will do it. It doesn't mean that it's the best. It means that it's something. Got to be practical. Okay, himbos. Anyway, most people stop at draft. And most AI images look like they stop at draft. But your advantage as an advanced user, as a maker, is that you're willing to do the whole loop. And the advantage of this system then is that it will codify your work and help if push comes to shove, would help defend you. In terms of authorship. So that was the bit of research I wanted to share. Great conversation. Collect says, but there is so much that goes on before the draft step that is completely outside the scope of this proposed system, even if you are not aware of it. Oh yeah, for sure. However, Collect in a corporate or commercial sense, it is possible that as a personal artist, yes, but as a corporation producing art or
Well,
commercial
still,
art, maybe there's
even
more.
then,
Go ahead.
if it's corporate, like you have guidelines, you have style guides, all of these things, someone has worked these out by some process. Like, should these be considered? Like, if I'm making a cat logo, I go to Midjourney, I'm gonna say cat logo in green and orange. But in actuality, I'm typing the green and orange because that's the style guide from my company.
Right.
But that's not part of the system, but that's also part of the iterative process that I've already
that would
made
have to
this
come
decision.
out. That would yeah, you can't expect the system to document everything. You have to.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but like,
right.
Why this is like
why document anything if
where do you why document anything basically? Like, where do you decide the documentation has to start?
Right. That's a good question. It's a good question. And the law does make those decisions all the time on our behalf. And then our lawyers and our jury give us the wiggle room and the context sensitivity that the legislation has codified it. And then we have to kind of decodify it and make it more flexible enough to be human.
That's true for you because you live in a case law environment, but that's like a lot of Europe doesn't have case law systems.
I see.
So I think this is a very difficult thing to decide upon. What's the right point of where do we begin collecting these receipts? I feel like if we have the goal that we need to somehow provide evidence for authorship of AI generated images, sure, but like this particular way is way too complex that to arrive at the solution that everyone's generally happy with.
Disney stole my artwork and sold it in their parks. Do you want to talk about that, Jetters? Have you watched it?
Yeah, I watched quite a lot of Disney stuff. If I wanted to talk about it, I'd be really pissed off and everything. I get angry about Disney that they want to just take control of the whole market with regards to like the public domain. I think my comment there when I put about Winnie the Pooh, they took a character that was in the public domain, changed the colour around a little bit, and then they've made it their own. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you try and do the same type of character, but with a different colour, they can still pursue you because they think they'll say it's our character, but it's not. It's public domain, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of Disney. I was as a kid. Don't get me wrong. Before I got into that, but Disney as a corporation, as a company, is Disney World and all the marketing, all their stores, all their online store and everything. I just detest the company. They're just a very,
Understand.
very,
Understand.
very greedy corporate company. And what they've done with other IPs as well, I won't go into it, but Star Wars and everything, they've just totally screwed it all up and everything. It's, you know what, I'm all for companies making money. You know, if like Walt Disney had this idea, let's make this Mickey Mouse character Steamboat Willie, and then I'll make a living out of it. Good on him for doing that. And I think what I was talking about the other day, we're talking about characters or people that's actually the artists that created it, the history of those people. I've always been interested where they came from and where they get to where they are just now, you know. But Disney Disney is just corporate greed, and I'm just like, it really pisses me off. It really does.
Understood.
They're not,
Understood.
they're not in it for the entertainment value. They're in it for just to get as much money as they can get, you know. And they copyright their IPs and whatever for a certain amount of time. I don't know if it's like 100 years or whatever. So they're trying to cash in as much as they can until that copyright expires or the IP may expire or whatever. And yeah, and they're trying to, I think there've been cases where they're trying to get the IP or the copy extended for their own need. You know, so instead of being 100 years, they're trying to make it maybe 200 or infinity. And if they can do that, they would, you know.
It's not
Uh,
cases. That's the whole playbook. Copyright laws, when they came
yeah,
to be, they started out like with 30 years, and ever since then, Disney
yeah,
has been lobbying to extend them and extend
yeah,
them, extend them.
yeah,
Copyright laws,
yeah,
by and large, are complete fucking bullshit because
yeah,
they're only
yeah.
there
Oh,
to
I
protect
totally agree with
Disney
you.
and some other
Yeah,
companies like
yeah.
Nintendo.
I mean, when the first caveman or woman, whatever, done like a drawing on stone or whatever, you know, did they say, oh, by the way, on the copyright and I can't use that, you know? And it's every single artist, I don't care if it's us on Midjourney or anybody in real life that enjoys doing art, what's the first thing that inspires them to do art? To look at a piece of art to begin with, you know? When we were all kids, we used to watch all these cartoons and everything. Oh, I like that. I'm going to draw that. So there probably been a time in life where you were young, you'd seen a certain cartoon character, you got a pen or a pencil or a piece of paper. I'm going to try and draw that, you know. And that's where we get the inspiration from other people, you know. But it's all this red tape and all this corporate bullshit that we've had to deal with, you know. I can understand it, you know, to a point where somebody has worked hard, designed characters, and then they're trying to sell and market them either on print, t-shirt, other media. You know, I understand that. I can understand it to a point, you know, because they've got to make a living. It's their character, it's their IP, and whatever they're written, what they've got, like a storybook or whatever. I totally get that, you know. But Disney's just like soaking up
Can I
everything, you know. And
I'm
just
gonna add something, just a brief disclaimer.
yeah,
Uh, this episode reflects the personal views of the speakers, not an official
yeah,
position of
yeah,
Midjourney, right? The discussion is
yeah,
for
yeah,
general information and educational purposes. It isn't legal or other
yeah,
professional advice. We mention
yeah,
third-party tools and services and organizations, but those references are informational. They don't imply endorsement or lack of endorsement. Uh, we are,
yeah,
uh, yeah, I just want to make sure that that goes into the recording, that it is clear.
yeah,
Midjourney does
yeah.
not sponsor,
Oh,
approve, or
yeah.
adopt the views expressed by speakers in this episode, including myself.
Yes. All the opinions that I have on Disney or whatever else is all my own opinions, and I take full responsibility for my
Understood, understood.
vocal
And it's
actions.
totally fair for us to have these opinions, and it's very generous of Midjourney to give us the forum to share them with each other. But
Yeah.
I did want to just throw that in there uh, since this is an educational podcast, it is not any more official than that.
Okay.
So
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jetters. I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you. Yeah, copyright laws rarely protect the little guy if it all says collect. And I admit that I kind of like the idea that this could help the little guy. Like if my system, here's, for example, if you're a student that chit-chatted with ChatGPT to help you write an essay, and you copy that URL of your chat with, because you can share it. You can share the log, right? You can share the chat, and you can just stick it in as a citation. If the professor feels really weird about it, they can go and look at it.
But that's like, if we come back to the courts and stuff, this is incredibly naive because we already have laws that protect the little guy in principle, copyright laws. But just like what Cheddar's shared, there are like hundreds of cases each year when big companies literally steal designs, ideas, or IP, and nothing happens.
Oh, I see. Yes, from that direction.
The little guy does not have the resources to fight this.
That's right.
In a court. And even if we have this system for AI space, nothing's gonna change about that.
Yeah.
So you're pro letting this AI is confronting IP law, and you hope that confrontation pays off in revisions from the ground up, not just trying to shove AI into the existing.
To fit AI into the existing framework is in my opinion pointless, because the existing framework
doesn't work for anything, much less AI.
Unfair and flawed.
Yeah, understood. So, well, thank you very much for discussing that research paper, or really workshop paper. It wasn't research so much as a proposal at a workshop for people to think. But it was heartening for me to see so many recent, like this year, like it's February, and there's like 20 papers that of people chewing on this stuff. And that's good, because if you read the news, it's just a big churn, and news media doesn't tell me what I want to know. Academic media tells me a little bit more, from, at least for me, to see that there's something going on besides churn. It's well documented churn. That's what it is. Anyway. So this was apparently a contentious bit of research, because Promptcraft Live is currently at half capacity today, as it normally is. I do want to say welcome to Patty Gimlin, who joined us on YouTube, and some time ago she was speculating about collecting my grandma, because I put you guys in the same sample picture in my example. It's okay. All my grandparents are past, Patty. They're safe from collect. And collect is safe from them. That's the worst gift. The worst. How do you even know to find that gift? For God's sake.
Literally just type in eyebrows.
Oh, jeez. Perfect. See, you just showed your receipts. Now you have more authorship over that moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so we have another 15 minutes here at Promptcraft Live. Did anyone have any questions, or want to see any Midjourney demos, tutorials, anything else? Want me to give the dog another biscuit? Look at, she's sleeping face down. That's so weird. It's a weird flex.
I'm just waiting for the have mast flag to be available all the time when I put the prompt in, because I think it was one of the very first prompts that I had trouble trying to do, and it was actually a customer, believe it or not, in the States that contacted me, and they said, "Oh, can you do me an American flag at half mast?" I'll try my best. And bearing in mind, this is only because Midjourney was available, and there wasn't many of the other platforms that are well known as what they are now. And it was a struggle, honestly. And I actually had to go into Photoshop at the time and do an American flag and place it onto this phone, put it half-mast for her. I didn't charge her any money for it because it was a challenge for me. But yeah, we still have those
Yeah.
challenges, and the ones with, I think we sussed out the one with the wine at the top of the glass, and I think the clock is still an ongoing thing with an analog clock. I would love to see the analog clock to be exactly the time that you want it,
Can
So
Nano Banana do that stuff?
not always not. It can do digital pretty well, digital clock, but it can't always do analog. Sometimes you got to do quite a few runs, and then sometimes it just doesn't bother. It depends on what mood it's in that day. I think it's got a mood, even though it's AI. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ha
I'm
have you
I'm
guys
hope I'm
seen
hope.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm hoping V8 maybe get that sorted out for us. Just little things like that with the flag as well. I'd be happy with that.
Have you guys played with
That's it,
Project
really.
Genie yet?
Nope, never heard of it. Ah,
So here's what you
oh,
do.
oh, right, yeah, I have. Sorry, but we can't get it in the UK, unfortunately. Yeah, when you go, sorry.
You can
Oh,
prompt a low res little world and uh and a character in it, and it has to be those two things. It has to be something that you control that is it's very constrained. It can't just be any old thing. It has to be a flyer, a vehicle, an animal sort of thing. Um and then an environment, and uh it will let you walk around and do stuff. Is that a bunch of poop on the I think there was some poop on the swear to God. I've watched this 1,000 times, and that's the first time I've noticed that there's what looks like dog poop on the porch. Please let that be
right.
something else. They did not leave that in there, did they? They
Well,
totally
could
did.
be it's an Easter egg, I think. Yeah,
An Easter egg, oh my God. Anyway, this is very fun. This is very fun to look at. I did not opt to pay $124 to play with it. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but I thought it'd be cool to let you guys know that it's out there. Uh, I'm not sure what I would do with it. Like, imagine somebody gave me a gift and said, "Here, you have Genie now." What would I do? What would I make with it? I mean, all of their examples are like fun if you're 6 years old, and then probably not even then, because if you're 6 you expect a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Um
I know it seems as if it's going to be endless, just walking around doing nothing. There's no game interaction type of thing. It's just they're moving the landscape around and scenes and everything. Yeah, yeah. But however, I will say we've got to remember Midjourney and a lot of the other AI platforms just now, they're in their infancy just now. So for
mhm.
5 years, so we'll come back to this in 10 years' time, and things are going to be totally different compared to what we've got just now. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Until I can
More so.
What I really want is to be able to do this and attach uh functions and meanings. So let's say, like, I would like this to be the tower of Midjourney FAQs, so that you
Yeah,
can roll up to the FAQs and see the things that are related. You climb the steps of basic prompting into the, like, something that connects this to meaning outside
yeah.
of just this experience. This kind of
Well, yeah.
That would be great.
Well, who knows? David's hardware may be one of the things that's going to be happening, so we just don't know what's going to be happening there, but it could be that type of thing. We just don't know yet. Watch this space, and I think Dave's keeping it
Hopes are
tit-lit for a reason
misplaced.
because it's probably, Yeah,
Collect says your hopes are misplaced, but is that because of his 10 years is too short, or because you don't think people will come up with any usefulness for these toys?
I don't know. Well,
No,
me
I think
personally,
that I don't think we're gonna see this kind of growth that we've seen in the past 5 years in the next 5 years.
Oh, I see.
Because all of this growth is based on research that's maybe 10, 15 years old. And like there's not a lot of new ideas coming out right now. We're still on diffusion, we're still on auto-regression, and sure we can make these processes and models better, but we're not gonna jump them.
watch this space. That's all I'll say. You just don't know what's going to happen, you know. And I'm not saying what you put there on the screen is wrong, but we just don't know what's going to happen, you know.
Well,
You know,
if
there's,
if
there's
if
all,
you looked at the information about autoregressive models 10 years ago, you could absolutely predict what's happening right now with,
yeah,
for example, Nano Banana. So, and if you look at the
yeah,
stuff in the space outside of like service space, but like research space, I don't see
yeah,
anything that's gonna be like, oh, in 10 years I can see this thing
In
being
research space, I
actually.
agree with Collect insofar as, now I might be looking in the wrong place, but in research space, what I see are improvements to the current system. Like people
Yeah,
finally
exactly.
realizing there's money in making this stuff robust. But
Yeah,
not
yeah,
but I don't see
yeah,
innovations yet. I see people
yeah,
seeing that there's some dollar signs associated with doing interesting new things with it, like
yeah,
this. But this cat vac thing, this is not new technology. This is not an innovation. This is just an application of the current technology that we haven't seen before. So its novelty is not in its innovation. Um, uh, I mean, that's a really kind of a cynical thing for me to say, because whoever slaved away to make this happen is probably thinking, well, F you, Clarinet. You know, I didn't see my child grow up because I was working on this. But what I mean is I'm not seeing any headlines in research that say like, forget the fusion, that's yesterday's thing, you know.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, just I
The reason, well, see, the reason I said 10 years is because there's a lot more people employed in AI now. Also, your
I like that
GPUs are
idea.
getting fast,
yeah, but the
and
people
your
who are
GPU. Wait now, give me 2 seconds, buddy. Let me finish,
sorry.
please. And also you have more GPUs, which are getting faster as every year goes on as well. Plus, also, there's a lot of investors plowing a lot of money into it as well. As I said, I could be wrong. It could be 20 years, it could be 30 years, or 40 or 50. You know, so what I said about the 10 years was a guesstimation on my part.
I do
You
like
know,
what you're saying about more compute. I
Like
do.
that's
Yeah.
but
yeah,
the problem with that is like as Clarinet says, the resources, the money, and the people, these are going towards improving diffusion, improving auto-regression, improving damn, I forgot the tensor models. They're not
yeah,
going
yeah,
towards finding the next thing.
But Jetters is right. That could be yet. It could be a yet situation. It could be that in order for them to cultivate a market that would support further innovation, they must make the current platform robust, and then people
I don't
will
think that's
feel
true.
that it's stable enough to jump off of.
No, I don't think
every,
that's true.
every,
I think
every,
research has continued to advance at the slow rate research advances without this incentive. And I don't, and as the resources are not being put into the finding the new stuff, I don't see the research speed somehow getting faster.
Mm.
we'll come back to it in 10 years' time or
Ah,
15 years'
crap.
time. We'll see what happens. Uh, But because I know, even though we keep hearing the AI bubble's going to burst, blah, 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 but there's more people going into careers in AI than anything else. I mean, I'm an ex-IT guy, and the friends that I'm still in contact with are no longer doing business support or IT support in any way, shape, or infrastructure. All they're doing now is that they've actually gained qualifications in AI. They've moved up to better careers, you know. And that's what's happening because all the jobs that they done or do still, where they want to get into a career in IT, can all be done with AI now. You know, like I mean, 5 years ago, you probably never had any bots where you can go on a website and get technical support. You know, or if you go shopping online. But now all the bots are all there. Every website's doing them now. You know, so now that it's this time of the century where yeah, technical skills are more appreciated and better wage, better everything, you know. So
But
yeah,
these new jobs in AI are jobs that are applying ideas from research. These new jobs are not in research because research is not being funded or getting more
yeah,
investment
no,
or more
That's not
yeah,
resources.
true. AI my
well,
god, it's killing me. AI research is being funded more now than this time last year.
yeah,
I don't think that's true. Research in the sense that we are not looking for commercial applications, or we are not looking to improve current models or types of models, like actual
Mm.
research towards new things, new ideas.
I
Well,
know there's a British company. I know
I
there's sorry, I know there's a British. Sorry, I know there's a British company that's I can't remember the name of them, but they're doing a lot of genome folding just now with AI, and they're actually working on the way for possible cures for cancers and illnesses and everything. And there was a big documentary. I think it was on YouTube. I watched it, and I think Google owned part of them as well. And they were responsible for doing Gemini stuff as well. So who knows? I know they're plowing a lot of money into research and development. So as I say, for us as consumers, from a consumer point of view, AI is it's in its infancy just now. You know, when it gets to being a teenager and then a fully fledged adult, you know, and then the sky's the limit after that, you know.
well, Jetters, let's
Yeah,
hope
Yeah,
that we lead with uh governance at least hand in hand with whatever innovation you're anticipating, because right now I think people are intentionally treading water a little bit because of all of these uh because the system needs time to catch up, which is the nice way of
yeah,
saying people need to figure out how to make money off of it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway,
I have to say that I completely disagree that we are in infancy. Like, specifically, if we talk about diffusion, I think diffusion is way past its
how
infancy, and
about young
it's
teens?
not
We're
even a young teen. I think,
tweens. We're not the
I think
tweens.
No,
no. I think diffusion models as a concept are well into adulthood.
Oh dear. Have they borrowed the keys yet? Are they drinking?
I think they're like, from a research perspective, they're definitely drinking.
Okay.
Maybe not from an application sense. Maybe not from the application
Oh,
sense.
okay.
Maybe we're not there yet. But like from a research perspective, they are definitely not in their infancy.
Well, we have to sign off in just a minute here, but let me leave you with a couple 2-3 more URLs of papers we did not discuss along the same topic lines. Collect the last one, the Virginia law that I was telling you about. This one, I couldn't even finish reading it. I got so mad. It seems so wrong-footed to me. But a mandatory disclosure, which is interesting because I love the idea of the thing that kept receipts for me. So if anyone gives me shit, I can say, "Well, here are my receipts," right? But I hate the
yeah,
idea of
yeah.
saying not only do you need to keep receipts, but you must disclose them at all times. That's some BS, in my opinion, unrelated to Midjourney's position on any such thing. It's
I mean,
just
to me, that seems fine. But then let's apply this across all creative work and mandatory disclosure of any kind of tool.
yeah, that gets slippery pretty quick, huh?
Like, I don't mind mandatorily disclosing that AI systems have been used, but like, let's make it mandatory to disclose that we also used Photoshop or video editing tools or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Spell check was used in the making of this.
Yeah, like in I use spell check while writing this book. It's like,
Yeah.
whatever, okay.
You think
Cool, I
sharing
guess.
process is essential? That does not sound like the voice of an artist to me. Most artists would spit and hiss like angry cats.
Most artists are idiots.
Tell me why you think sharing process is essential. Oh, it's not AI pretending to be real content. It's bad actors. Understood.
Yeah.
I see. Are you getting sick and tired of people sounding exactly like GPT but pretending that
Oh
it's
my
them
god, I am
talking?
so sick. I am so sick. I even in your presentations, I
Mm-hmm.
actually really fucking hate it. And I've noticed people
Mm-hmm.
have actually started talking like that. And it's so annoying.
It's I've done it. I've done it a couple of times where I think, and Simbo sometimes does it, where he pastes something he thinks GPT is particularly clever, and it just reeks of GPT to me, and I can't appreciate what it's saying because I'm affected by the tone, and the whole the images and the script for my presentation today. I mean, I departed from it a lot because as written gives me the jeebies and the heebies.
We still had a lot of it in it. It's really hard to get rid of the tone if you
It
start
is.
from LLM based.
It is.
Like,
And what's worse is as ChatGPT adds more voice control in like okay, hold on, let me bring this up. We're out of time, but I'm going to see if I can bring this up real quick. So, you know that GPT now has um this personalization thing where you can choose like cynical at all, right?
yeah.
So these are
Yeah.
very, very controlling. So I have cynical on mine, and it makes, and so does Himbo. So our GPT sound very much the same, even though I have dozens and dozens of rules trying to change how the style and tone act. These presets now, I've tried to use a preset that somehow cooperates with my instructions, and it won't do it. It won't do it. It makes me crazy. I cannot make GPT sound like anything but itself.
Yeah, and I would even say, like, even if you use these different tones, it still reads like GPT across all the tones. It's like it doesn't know how to write like a human.
It really
just
doesn't. It
yeah.
and that's Sonaida is happy about that. Sonaida is pleased that it's so identifiable, and wishes that Midjourney, excuse me, that Gen AI imagery would be as identifiable, if I understand Sonaida correctly.
Try this if you want. I put that into Gemini, and it was to do business stuff and everything. So I asked it, you're my ruthless mentor, don't sugarcoat anything. If my idea is weak, call it trash and tell me why. Your job is to stress test everything. I say it until it's bulletproof. And I did try it, and it takes no prisoners with its comments and replies to me. And I like it because I was asking it about how to do setting up a business online, doing my prints and everything. And my idea was to print images onto A3 and get them printed and stuff because I've got all my print gear here and everything. And it totally brutally wasted me, you know. It told me my ideas were crap and everything. So I asked it, I says, well,
But
go on, give me
I bet it
data.
told you that while sounding like ChatGPT.
Yeah, like this is more about content, but I'm talking about
Yeah, I
like
know.
the tone,
Yeah, I know.
Stylistic tone.
style.
Stylistic tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's really good though, to be fair, because I asked it for data analytics and everything on various websites of stats and everything that could pull them through for me, and it did do it, and it's really good, you know. I just thought I'd give you that over anyway.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like a big chicken wing. Yeah, she's our big old nugget. She's our big nugget. When she was a puppy, she definitely looked like a chicken McNug running around carrying a stick. This is from Westendorf. He thinks you look like a big nugget.
I'm just looking at what Sinead is saying here. She's right. I tend to make hyper-realistic fashion editorial portraits of the cheap polyester t-shirt.
Hold on. Everyone be quiet for just a second. I'm just going to close the stream. Thank you so much for joining us for Promptcraft Live today. Please leave a comment or question if you would like to speak to any one of us. We'll probably